Hello and welcome to another episode of Awaken and Ascend. This week, I welcome Donna Wallace all the way from the other end of the world. She's joining us from Australia because, well, we have the same mission to support people in their ascension process and really bring awareness back to who they truly are, especially now. Now is the time there is such a strong calling for us to do this, to really step into our power, to embrace it, and to be the light that we came here to be. Super excited to have you here, Donna. I want everyone that's watching to hear your inspiring story. And what we're going to be talking about today, folks, is how to follow your intuition, even if it feels really uncomfortable at times. How do we do that? How do we stay in touch with our intuition? How do we even know if it's our intuition talking to us so that we can all live a soul-led life? So I'm so grateful that each and every one of you are joining us here today. And Donna, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here and sharing your story. And I'm really curious about what lit your path.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. I'm really excited to be here. What's the first question? What led me onto this path?
Yeah, what lit your path?
The first thing that happened for me on my journey was I had experienced Reiki. I'd never experienced Reiki or heard about any of these sorts of things before. Excuse me. And what happened was I was upset. I was a teenager, and a family friend of mine said, "Come over here, Donna, sit down and put my hands on your shoulders." And as she did, that loving, warm Reiki energy came into me. And it was the first time that I felt like I was at home in my body, in this
Mm.
lifetime. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Ah,
And honestly, that can be what an awakening is, can't it? When we experience something that in this lifetime we've never experienced before, but there's a resonance with it, it feels like home. And
yeah.
that's what happened for me when I was about 16, my first experience of spirituality, if you like, but it definitely changed the path of my life. And that beautiful woman became a very close friend of mine and mentor, and someone very special in my life, and helped teach me many different things along the way.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure a lot of our audience members can resonate with that energy, with that Reiki love and that sense of feeling
Yeah.
at home. Is that right, everyone? Like, put it in the comments if you've experienced it, or maybe you're a Reiki practitioner yourself. I'm curious, Donna, what life was like before that, the first 16 years of your life.
Mm. That was That's a very good question, Jennifer. I said to you before we started recording, you ask amazing questions. Life before that was challenging for me. I was a really sensitive, emotional bod. Do you know? I was a sensitive
Hmm.
person, and it was challenging growing up in the 80s and having a family that wasn't spiritual or wasn't, particularly, like, I had a loving family, but they weren't, that to that level of in tune. I feel like I was
Hmm.
born into this family a little bit different from the rest of my family, and said I love them and they love me, but um it was challenging, to be honest. And it was challenging growing up as a teenager, in that space too, trying to figure out who I was without any sense of being grounded in the world, or like connected with, that path that we all go on as teenagers, of trying out different things and trying to figure out who we are in the world. It was certainly challenging. I was lucky enough to grow up in a mountain range, and so I found a lot of solace growing up in the trees, and that felt really safe for me. And I felt like I had, this connection with the trees that felt really supportive. I'd often just stare out my bedroom window or be outside, and still I'm the same now. I still love looking at the gum trees, and yeah, the eucalyptus here they're incredible. And there is something, yes, deeply, that just, I don't know, feels so grounding and loving and supportive and special. I don't know why I'm talking about this, Jennifer.
Well,
Maybe some of your
I'm just
listeners can
like, I'm in the
relate.
forest with you, Donna, because that's like my favorite place to be. Also,
Yeah,
I love being amongst the tree people, the standing tall ones, and it doesn't even
absolutely.
matter what kind of tree it is, but in particular, the old growth forest for sure. I just feel
Yeah.
so at home. And like Grandmother Grove is one of the places here in province of BC where I'm living. And I remember taking a 7-hour hike through the Blue Mountains in Australia
Oh,
before the
really?
wildfires took a lot of
Mm,
that away. I was devastated when I heard that, but I'm so grateful that I had the experience of walking through there and experiencing those eucalyptus trees. That's something we don't have here. So that
yeah,
was really different. Yeah. But in
they're
your
really
story,
amazing.
yeah, in your journey, in your story, Donna, you mentioned how when you did have that Reiki treatment, that it really shifted your life and your way forward. So tell us what happened. Like, how did that change things for you?
It just opened up a level of curiosity in me, like, what is that? I want to find out more. I know I need to explore that more. I don't know what that is. I don't know what she just did to me, but I want more, and so from there, so the woman that I was talking about, her name is Joan, and her partner Balder, he was a Reiki master. And so I went and did Reiki, learnt Reiki with them, and became part of their weekly healing circle, and we did Reiki for each other, distant Reiki for people who needed it. And then I went on to study Aurosoma with Joan and opened up my eyes to the world of color and color and energy, and I did a whole lot more training after that. But yeah, it was a turning point because I found a safe space with Joan and Belder where they recognized what intuition was. They knew what that was. They encouraged me to use it. It was a safe space to use it, and they supported me in developing my natural talents and gifts in that way, and that we all have, not just
Mhm.
me. And it was just a really beautiful, safe environment to explore that part of myself and also be seen, and met in that way too. Having intuitive people around us who understand how to meet us in an emotional, like, or meet our emotional needs or provide support is really so deeply profound and life changing, for us sensitive, emotional people.
Yes, absolutely, and
Mm,
I think you really mentioned something so important is about how we're held and how our
yeah,
gifts are nurtured and who we surround ourselves with, and
yeah,
what we get to experience in that space. And by experience, I mean also aspects of ourselves that might not have otherwise come to our
right,
into our awareness, right? And
exactly.
so yeah, and I can see why now, Donna, that you become such an advocate for this, for people to follow their intuition and learn to live a soul-led life
Yeah,
because of all you got to experience and wanting everyone else to feel that too, that sense of
exactly.
safety, the belonging, the being home and supported and loved and nurtured and
Yeah,
so connected. Because not just to the couple that trained you and brought through you and mentored you and provided all of that education around it, it was so much more than that. It was a complete transformation, and for you to be able to step into what you're meant to be doing in this world. So how do you encourage people to follow their intuition, because it can be uncomfortable sometimes?
yeah, it's very uncomfortable. Let's be honest, like, sometimes I think that, you know, people perceive that following our intuition is an easier pathway. And in some ways it is, and in some ways it's not. Like, is it easier to stay comfortable and in a familiar pattern or a familiar space? Or is it easier to get uncomfortable and find a place in your life, like a way of living in your life that feels really aligned?
Mm.
I think that actually it's easier to follow your intuition, but at the same time it's uncomfortable because often our intuition is asking us to step out of our comfort zone. It's asking us to create something that's beyond a familiar pattern that's possibly not working for us anymore. um, but I think it is really important. I feel like it's the difference between having a life that is fulfilled and where you feel content and fulfilled and on purpose, and that you're fulfilling your life mission. Like we're all born for a reason, and when we're not fulfilling what we're here to do, it's painful. It feels miserable. Like we feel miserable when we're not on the right path, and we all know when we're not on the right path. And so following our intuition might not, like, you might not be able to get the whole like vision of what your life is meant to look like, put it on a silver platter and here you go, this is what your life is meant to be and this is what you're meant to do. But instead, I think our intuition is, or I believe, I know our intuition is really about, here's the next step, and then here's maybe the next step, and then once you've done that, then here's the next step. And so then we're on this beautiful, magical carpet ride of life, of following our intuition just step by step. And life becomes exciting, and it becomes like this incredible adventure that feels so good in our hearts, in our bodies, in our souls. And 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 the cool thing is that, like, we actually don't want the whole vision on the silver platter. We don't want to know what our whole life is going to look like. It's better to have this as a discovery, a surprise, because honestly, you probably wouldn't believe it anyway if you were given that vision.
That's a
When
good
I
point.
would
That's a very
never have
good point.
believed, like, 5 years ago, I would never believe that I am where I am now.
Yeah.
Never. Right. And then in another 5 years, like whatever my life is going to be in another 5 years, I probably won't believe that either, but it will happen. Whatever is meant to happen will happen, and I will follow my intuition. And so who knows what magic will open up along the way. And yeah, I just feel like that process of following our intuition is actually, like, it's the greatest act of self-love. Right?
Yes. You're right. You're right.
Just listen. Yeah.
And I love that you spoke about alignment too, because, there's so much talk and articles and podcast, like everybody's talking about balance, right? And really it's about
Nice.
alignment. It's
Yeah,
about
there's no such thing
harmony.
as balance.
Yeah, that's true balance, right? Balance really coming from living your truth, but being in alignment with your soul path, with your mission, your divine life purpose. And you're right, it does unfold step by step, and there's mystery in that. And we can be curious and approach it, with patience and grace and compassion and adventure, even.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
courage,
yeah,
because
yes, courage is what it
it takes
takes to actually
so
walk
much
that
courage.
path.
It
Yeah.
really does, like, to get an, intuitive hit around, I should be starting a business, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never started a business before. I don't know how to do that. What do I even do? I don't know." Or no, your mind has gone off in a million miles an hour to take that first step and open the business or contact an accountant or learn about, all those different things. It takes so much courage to step outside of your comfort zone. And you're right. It
Yeah, the
leads us
courage,
to,
absolutely. And then also trust in our innate abilities, because we can take those
yeah,
for granted because it's so natural to us, and yet someone else would think it's like really profound, and gifted and welcomed, whereas we just don't realize it's anything special because it's so much a part of us. So
I think
really
you're
trusting our
really
innate
right.
abilities, our capacity to make a difference in the world,
That's right. And then it also takes, like, it takes a lot in terms of that inner work, the healing that needs to be
Yeah.
done to be able to kind of set yourself free to take that action, or to build your self-esteem enough to be able to get to that place of taking action and trusting your intuition. Um, it can take a lot of inner work as well, depending on where you're at and what you've gone through. Um, Yeah, there was something else I was going to say, Jennifer, and it's just disappeared. Oh, that's right. And then also, like, the releasing out of that comparison and keeping
Oh,
up with the
yeah.
Joneses, and actually just like, okay, I don't need my validation from other people. I don't need to get approval from anyone else. I don't need it from my boss. I don't need it from my dad. I don't need it from my mom. I don't need it from society. What if I wasn't following the cookie cutter approach that's making me feel
Hmm.
so miserable anyway and feels like my soul is dying, you know? Um,
Yeah.
what if and that's the thing. It does again take courage to walk that individual path to become who you uniquely are. But once you start doing that and you're following your intuition, that all starts to unfold like a butterfly, coming out of its cocoon. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love, Jennifer, one of my favorite things is watching that unique process of individuation of people just becoming so uniquely them that's just
Yeah.
completely different from anyone else. And that, like, people backing themselves, like, yeah, that's who I am, and it's all right if I'm different. And actually, it's not just all right, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. We need diversity in our world, and that is another realm of diversity.
Absolutely. And I love the quote. I think it was an anonymous one that we weren't born to fit in. We were actually born to stand out. Like, what if we explored that possibility, right? And yeah, getting back to that uncomfortable feeling when you're saying yes or saying no, that goes against popular opinion, that
Yeah,
non-conformity that's like looked frowned upon. And unconventional wisdom, though, is what arises from that and that unique perspectives. And it takes a lot of courage to really stand in that power, to stand in your truth, no matter what, right? So that
it
you can
absolutely
make the
does.
difference you came here to make, and be in alignment with your values and your mission and your vision for your life. Even if you don't see the whole picture right away, you kind of get a sense of the higher calling, right? The higher purpose that you're
Yeah.
moving toward. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it takes a level of rebellion, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
follow your intuition, full stop. It takes a level of being rebellious and like willing to go against the norm, because in our society, we're taught to evaluate, to think, to be very rational. And intuition asks us to drop down into our heart spaces, to feel in our bodies what, different options feel like. And to follow your intuition, knowing that it is actually taking into consideration everything that we're thinking about, the pros and the cons, and the should I or shouldn't I. And there's this higher intelligence within us that wants to come through, that actually
Yes.
takes care of all of that. It doesn't just push it to the side. And it and I love being a rebel. Like, I love being a little bit different. I look like a normal person on the outside, but I've got a heart of a rebel. I love,
Oh, yeah.
doing life a little bit differently. And I think we all do. I think we all have that part of us. It's like, I don't want to conform. I don't want to
Yeah.
do the 9 to 5, or the, 2.5 kids and the mortgage with the white picket fence, and whatever. I think there's a part of us that all wants to really just be ourselves and be free
Yeah.
to be ourselves,
Yeah.
and not have these like shoulds and shouldn'ts and boundaries, and just feeling like we're hitting up against the edges. I feel like we all want this free, rebellious soul to do the thing that we're here to do, whatever that is.
Freedom and fulfillment.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true
Absolutely.
freedom.
Freedom and fulfillment. And
Yeah.
you mentioned about tuning into your higher guidance. Do you have some sort of strategies or tips though how people can begin to do that if they're not so familiar?
Yeah, I can tell you like a process that I use every day to make decisions, if you'd like.
Oh
And
yeah.
this is actually a fairly easy, simple way that I think anyone can use, whether you feel like you're intuitive or not. So if you're trying to make a decision like, should I stay in this job or should I look for an alternative? Let's try that out as an example. That's not
Okay.
me, but I feel like a lot of your listeners are maybe in that space. So
Definitely.
what you need to do is just close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, and let your awareness just drop down out of your head and into your heart space, into the center of your chest. So Jennifer, you might like to hold something in your mind, a real life example
Okay.
for you, and drop down into your heart space, into the center of your chest. And if it takes a moment to land here in your body and drop down into your chest, that's fine. Just take a moment. Just feel your body, your chest expanding with your breath. And then you're going to hold the option, the first option, which is stay in this 9 to 5 job. And as you feel that option, holding that in your heart space, just notice what happens with your breath. Notice how you feel, what happens with your energy. Does your breath become shallow? Does it contract? Does it feel expansive? Do you feel light? Do you feel heavy? Does it feel like there's joy? Do you feel like there's dread? Just notice what happens for you. Okay, now you've got that. Now release that option out of your heart space and then put in another option. In this case, the example is going to pursue another opportunity. And then hold that in your heart space. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice what happens with your breath. What happens with your energy? What happens? How do you feel? Good. And now that you've got that, release that option out of your heart space and then just take a deep breath and open your eyes. And then you get it. You know, like
Yeah.
this option feels better and that's what I want to feel, or the other option feels better and that's what I want to feel. So now you've got that intuitive guidance, which is really body intuition, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know which path is going to feel like, you know, you know what both paths are going to feel like. Now you choose. Now take that action. You know, follow that intuition. It's one thing to get the messages. It's another thing to be uncomfortable, feel really stretchy, and take that action.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that, Donna. From my experience with that, I really noticed the breath flow. Like you said, notice how you feel contracted. You had a lot of different options to help us tune into that. And for me, it was like a shallow breath, kind of contracted, kind of like stop go, kind of, interrupted kind of breath.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of one thing, and then when I let that go and brought in something else, then I could feel my breath flow more easily. And I could really relate to that on the outside too, is like what has the better flow, what has the most fluid and rewarding path or outcome for me. And yeah, where there's fluidity rather than, kind of that stagnation or
Yeah.
efforting or, that kind of feeling. So yeah, I found that very helpful, Donna. And I'm wondering if any of you in the audience that have been tried that as well, let us know what your experience was like. Did that help you? I think it was so
Yeah.
useful, Donna, to share that because so many of us are struggling with decisions, that we need to
Yeah.
make. And we can really get in our head about that, trying to figure it all out through our head when it can be really helpful, really beneficial to drop that energy down into the heart and just see what's really true for us. How
Exactly.
is our body responding? What's that energy like, and
Yeah.
to bear witness for that, to become the observer of that rather than, sorting out, trying to rationalize or intellectualize our way through it, which can be a
Exactly.
real
And a lot of
struggle.
That's right. And a lot of people come to me saying that they want to feel seen and they want to feel heard. And this is a
Yes.
way that you can do that for yourself. You can listen to yourself. You can observe yourself. You can hold that space for you and what's right for you. But what I really love about what you were reflecting just then, Jennifer, is the flow. What we're
Mhm.
doing is we're always wanting to increase the flow of life force energy, of light, of love, of support within us. And so when we follow our intuition, we open up that flow. We open up that flow of life force energy coming through. And that's a beautiful thing because it makes us feel really good on the inside. And it also gives us a sense of things falling into place in our outer world as well, like the synchronicities and yeah, just being in the right place in the right time and a sense of things falling into place and all is right in the world.
Into alignment and
Yes,
harmony.
yes, fulfillment
Harmonizing with our
and
mind,
freedom
body,
and fun.
spirit. Yes, and
Yes,
having that freedom and
yes,
the fulfillment. Sometimes it takes someone though, like for you when you were 16, how that those you had people that mentored you and held the space for you and
absolutely.
really nurtured that part of your journey. And we have allies, we have adversaries that we meet along the path, we have our teachers, we have coaches and counselors and energy practitioners. There's so many people potentially that could support us along our path and at different points in along our path. So I'd love this opportunity for people who want to connect with you, Donna. What would be the best way to do that?
You can find me on Instagram under Donna Wallace Healer, or on my website, which is donnawallace.com.au. And you can connect with me, like send me a message on Instagram or come and say hello. I'm a genuine, real person behind the pictures and videos. Or you can book a call with me and we can have a chat about what's happening for you and whether this feels like, I can support you in healing and connecting with your intuition and living that soul-led life. You can also download my free 5-minute life-changing morning meditation. And that's another way where you can increase that flow of life force energy in your life in just a really super short, like I don't love 3-hour morning routines. Like I'm not down for that, Jennifer. No, thank you. I've been there, done that. Okay, I've done like hour and a half, 2-hour morning routines. No, I just can't do that anymore. But 5 minutes I can do. And so I created that meditation to share with people like what I actually do every day. And
Wow.
so once you do this process, listen to the meditation like every day for 3 weeks, you'll be
Okay.
able to do it yourself. And then you can do it anytime, any place.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Donna. So, for all of you watching, we're going to have all the information about Donna. Her whole bio is going to be down in the show notes there, along with the links to connect with her and to get those free gifts. So, make sure you access that with the links down below in the show notes. Donna, it's been such a pleasure having you here and having that practice that we got to experience and hearing about your story, because I know there's so many people that relate to that in some way, something that happened along our journey that was a wake up call or pivoted in a new life
Yeah.
direction. So I really appreciate you sharing that too. And I wonder if there's anything else that you'd like to share.
I feel like sometimes we get to a place where we're at transitions, like a crossroads, and we're not sure which way to go. And those points are really powerful points, even though they're really uncomfortable. I don't know why I'm sharing this or I've got this is on my heart to say, Jennifer.
Yeah, good.
I hope it connects with people who are listening. Um, when you're at that place, it's a powerful place. You can either stay in the same kind of way of life that you've been living and you can stay in the same experience, or when you're at those crossroads, it can be like a rocket that propels you into
Mm.
another way of being. So know that that's a powerful point of your life. And yeah, if you want support with that, like reach out and touch base with me. But just know, like following your intuition, you can use the practice that we've shared, or that I've shared here in the call about which way to go. Please follow your intuition. As I said, it's the greatest act of self-love
Oh,
that you
oh,
can
I
ever
love
do.
that so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Donna. That was really special today. And I hope you've all enjoyed this episode. You can give us a thumbs up if you thought it was great. And if you want to share it, then do that too. Maybe there's someone else that can really benefit from this as well. And of course, we always welcome your comments. And you'll find some free gifts for myself down below as well. And you're right, Donna, those crossroads, those are like pivotal moments. And I call them defining moments,
Yeah.
right? Defining moments. Yeah, the greatest act of self-care is to follow your intuition. So thank you so much for all of you who've been joining us. We appreciate you. We'd love to see you back next week. Thanks so much again, Donna.
Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer.